same sorts of uh, the same sorts of paths in life. It's always like somewhat mathematic, somewhat philosophical. It's usually involved with like higher language and mathematics to some degree, astronomy, physics, etc. Um, this guy by the age of 5, he could speak one, two, three, four, 5 different languages, which is incredible. And of course, I'm not saying that we should try to be these people. Obviously, we can't, even if we want to. We're just not capable of it. But we should at least try to be more peaceful like them, because I just don't see anything. You know, I just don't think these were very vengeful people. They probably don't have secret torture dungeons or anything. I mean, don't quote me on that. You never know. But I just don't see like a high IQ person having like a secret torture dungeon, or sadistically trying to get revenge on someone. You know, I, yeah, that might be an exaggeration mentioning a torture dungeon, but um, that's the point that I'm kind of trying to make though, is that they don't play along with these like violent ways of dealing with their lives, of dealing with unfortunate parts of their lives. Um, and I just see people like being really mean to each other all the time. Um, and you know what I also don't see is things really mentioning drugs. When you see a lot of things about geniuses in media, you see drugs being mentioned a lot. Uh, and I know there are high IQ people who have definitely been who have definitely been like attached to drugs, but like you have Sherlock Holmes isn't a real person, and he does drugs. But I don't, there's nothing about drugs here. It doesn't look like they do drugs, but I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Uh, but I think also just the situation with them is so different. It's just like they don't they don't have to deal with a lot of the shitty situations that normal people have to deal with. I'm just really curious. Like, it would be so nice to have an example of how to properly handle a bad situation. Uh, but they always congregate towards the same kind of stuff. They always go towards the math and the higher language, and so it's difficult to get an example of the best way that we could possibly handle life when they only ever go towards the same stuff. I don't see anybody. None of these people were like detectives. This guy played chess. Uh, None of these people were detectives, cops, gang members, drug dealers. Um, no, this guy actually has a human rights foundation. I don't know. I just wish we had more high IQ people that didn't congregate towards just the same kind of, like, it's almost like generic for a genius. It's like generic geniuses, like, not to insult them or anything, but it's like generic genius, generic high IQ. They always go towards the same thing. Um, okay, well, this guy was in the army. Uh, After the war, he completed high school equivalence to self-study. I wish he would talk more about, like, what he did in the army. If he was high IQ, he probably wasn't just infantry, right? So, like, what it was he like? Science? Did he develop technology? They people like high IQ people help develop things like the nuke, which is pretty terrible. Um, but like Albert Einstein is on here, and people always use Albert Einstein as like the icon for intelligence, for high intelligence. But of course, he is a genius. Uh, with his IQ, his recorded IQ being 60 to 90 points above a normal IQ. So let's say the bell curve of IQ, the average is 100. That's what the average is. Let's say that's 100%. If you have an IQ of 100, let's just say for this example, you have 100% IQ. That's 100% normal intelligence. That's 100% of a human intelligence. So basically, compared to normal human intelligence, Einstein has 160% to 190% of an IQ, which means he's almost twice as smart. He's almost half as much, half more as smart, or almost twice as much as smart. And then you go to the people at the top who are almost 3 times as smart. They're 300% of a normal IQ. So everything you can do, they can do 3 times as much. Intellectually. They don't just have. Imagine if your body just was like 300% stronger than a human's body. It's incredible. They can have a mind that is, 200% of a normal human mind. But nobody's body is 200% of a normal human body, apparently. Yeah, it looks like he went through a lot of racist shit, honestly. I didn't see anything like this for anybody else saying that, like, they had, like, degrees denied and stuff. Which is why I would love to see how he handled that kind of thing. Uh, it looks like he just challenged it. He just filed a court challenge. He didn't. He just took it like a. I don't know. He didn't do anything violent about it. He's a microbiologist, so that's a little different than most of the other people you see up on this list. Um, of course, microbiology is still math. I mean, look at that. It's still mathematics, but everything is mathematics pretty much in a high in higher education, higher IQ stuff. Even language is somewhat mathematics. Like it's still like you still calculate language. Well, I don't know. I guess unfortunately I don't get to prove what I wanted to prove, which is that people with higher IQ have more peaceful ways of handling stress and emotional stuff, and they don't do terrible things to people. They aren't like greedy business owners who take advantage of people and say, none of these people. I don't see any of them being quoted or saying anything about how they're superior to other people. They're not saying like other people deserve to get taken advantage of. Um, I don't know how they would feel about. Um, if there's anybody that we need like opinions from, it would be these kind of people. If there's anybody that we needed to know like what their opinion on like minimum wages. The only thing though is if a genius speaks out for a living wage, you have to be prepared for if they say something you